Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Robert Doyle here. XRP is my favorite project, and there's a lot of reasons why it is, but in today's video, I'm going to show you all those reasons, and I'm going to show you how XRP, the token, can get to a very high price without a lot happening, right? A lot of people think, trillions need to flow into the market cap for it to rise up and it'll never happen, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to show you a different way to look at things. And I'm going to take you through the history of where it started and where we are today and give it to you all in one video. So let's get into this. This has taken me several days to put together. It's a lot of hard work on my end, but it's worth it. And I think you're going to find value. Ryan Fugger conceived Ripple in 2004 after working on a local exchange trading system in Vancouver. The intent was to create a monetary system that was decentralized that could effectively empower individuals and communities to create their own money. Fugger later built the first iteration of the system, RipplePay.com. Currently, in May 2021, Jed McCaleb began developing a digital currency system in which transactions were verified by consensus among members of the network rather than the mining process used by Bitcoin, right? In August 2012, Jed McCaleb hired Chris Larsen and approached Mr. Fugger with a digital currency idea. After discussions with Jed McCaleb and long-standing members of the Ripple community, Fugger handed over the reins in September 2012. Chris Larsen, Jed McCaleb, and co-founder. That's when it became OpenCoin. All right, cool. So then this is a great little history piece, right? Provide a better alternative to Bitcoin. So this was their idea. In 2001, the ledger deployed. 2012 is when the XRP launched its native currency, XRP. OpenCoin was rebranded to Ripple Labs. And then 2020 was when the XRPL Foundation was set off. Here is the logo. And have you ever heard of the golden rule or golden ratio? Check this out. If you like the content that I provide and you want to come learn with me and my community, please go to Kryptonaires.com and sign up. We have a great deal right now. Spring 40, SPRING 40. It'll save you 40% off for life. What does that mean to you? For $2 a day, you will start learning about the best utility projects in crypto. You're only going to get one shot at this great transfer of wealth. I hope you use it well. If you come into our community, I can guarantee you will learn more than you're learning from your, Twitter influencers or your YouTube videos. I am going to take your crypto knowledge and I am going to supercharge it. We have a great team. We have a great community at Kryptonaires, and I hope you can join us. Spring 40, Kryptonaires.com. I hope to see you around the Discord. Thank you.
The golden ratio, all right? So it's symbolized by phi, this Greek symbol. But the golden ratio it's a math, A plus B over B, when it equals A over B is what? It's about 1.61809897. If you pull out those geometric differences, you end up with these Fibonacci sequences. Organized a different way, you start to see network structure where you've got hubs and you've got less important hubs in a network. And so out of that, we create a logo called the Triskelion, which is our Ripple. But it really does come out of that mathematic principle of the golden ratio.
The Triskelion, actually people like Christine Lagarde have been seen wearing such symbol, and I think it's like their own kind of club, but it's interesting that they built it off this golden ratio. And then here's a little bit more on golden ratios. I just thought this was interesting.
The golden ratio, also called the golden mean, the golden section, or the divine proportion, is one of the most famous irrational numbers. Like another famous irrational number, pi, the golden ratio goes on forever. This mathematical concept is said to appear in nature and in various iconic pieces of art.
It goes on forever. I think that's the whole thing that they were going for, right? They're building the system that's going to go on forever.
It has allegedly inspired artists like Michelangelo.
All right, so you're going to get the picture, right? And then, so we have Ripple releases Interledger to connect to banks and blockchains. This is really important. I want to show you this. Check this out. Interledger, how to interconnect all blockchains and the value of networks. So Interledger was born out of the project to build a blockchain agnostic smart contracts platform. A key challenge to neutrality. How could a decentralized app buy resources like storage and computing without being tied to a specific blockchain? Across the internet, apps and services face similar issues on how to directly monetize without relying on a single cryptocurrency. A proprietary network like Visa or PayPal or a monolithic like Apple Interledger was designed to answer this question. What would a universal network for sending value independent of any company currency look like? Interledger is now live and the core protocol was finalized in late 2017. It goes on to say Interledger was made up of a network of connectors, independent operators that act as decentralized exchanges or market makers for cryptocurrencies, fiat currencies, and other tokenized assets. The protocol allows users to transact natively on the network of their choice without needing to move assets to a centralized exchange or to a specific blockchain. For trading, the Interledger network has no central authority or company. And so this is really big, right? When you're talking about other countries using the same networks, right? They don't want to use a network that one country has a leg up on. That's why a lot of these guys are going to be using this alternative to Swift, because they don't want to get all their money in the Swift system and be locked out of it, right? With Interledger, a user can send Bitcoin with the recipient will automatically receive ETH or whatever the preferred currency happens to be. The assets exchange in a flow of transfer without either party needing to think of how this happens. Behind the scenes, Interledger routes packets of money across value networks like the internet routes packets of data between internet service providers. When the user sends BTC, the user's wallet sends Interledger packets denominated in BTC to a connector. The connector applies their exchange rate and forwards ETH denominated packets on the receiver. And it goes on to say, Interledger is a pure protocol with simplicity was one of the primary design principles. With the similar of the protocol, the more networks it can connect to. And in this way, we drew much more inspiration from the internet. An open network of networks is more resilient, scalable, and future rich than with any other independent network, right? So this is really, really cool. And so this is how you really get everybody on the same network. And then so Interledger put this out too. A payment space is highly fragmented. And then how do you connect accepting all of these different payment systems around the world? And this is what Interledger's here to do, right? It's kind of like the plumbing of this new financial system, and Ripple had a hand in that, okay? So let's keep going. I'll show you this real quick.
In our modern world.
This is from Mr. Man. I've had a chance to speak with him. Last weekend, we talked for an hour and a half on a call. He's truly incredible. That he understands the space just as much as I do. He really is a really good person to follow. He posts so much good information. Give him a follow, please.
Technology moves at light speed. But why has our financial infrastructure failed to keep up with the pace of change? The Interledger Protocol was created to make sending money across the internet easy. We envisioned a payments network that acts as a bridge between anyone and the entire world. Today, when we send an email, we take it for granted that once we hit send, the email will appear in the recipient's inbox almost instantly. It doesn't matter if you're sending from one email provider to another. It works seamlessly.
All right, so you kind of get the picture there, right? All right, and then also Ripple and its blockchain get official support from Chainalysis. This is a whole thing on its own, but Chainalysis is our data platform powers investigation, compliance, and risk management tools that have been used, to solve some of the world's most highest profile cyber criminal cases. All right, and then so now we've heard a lot of information about the FedNow system. FedNow system is going to be basically Swift, Ripple, Visa B2B, and I think MasterCard, and there's probably going to be some other payment connectors there, but notice that Ripple's the only blockchain. We did have some ideas that maybe Cypherium was going to be in. There was like Cypherium showing up at the FedNow showcase, but all that information has been taken out, and so I'm not really focused on that, but let's get back to this. So we know it's coming, right? And so there's a lot of things you can follow to pull up this information, but eventually you get to this document here, which is the U.S. path to faster payments, right? And so Ripple was asked to join the Faster Payments Task Force, and they were the only blockchain company to be invited to that, and they've been working on trying to make the United States payment system a whole lot better. And then so you see Ripple down here with all of these big kind of names, okay? Let's keep it going. So FedNow is partnering with Volante, okay? US FedNow instant payments, right? FedNow, the Federal Reserve new service will enable individuals 24/365 payments. This is great. This is great. But what are they going to be using to do instant settlement? So you have VolPay, cross-border payments, Swift GPI, Ripple, Visa B2B Direct, okay? And Ripple has the only fintech or blockchain infrastructure company that's working with these guys, okay? And then also, Wrath Economy posted this, a new potential Ripple user. Today, user integrator Volante partnered with Indian tech HCL Tech to deploy solutions for instant payments. Also, SEPA, in the age of real-time payments, okay? And real-time payments becoming a new normal in Europe, imagine. Real-time payments are no longer an aspiration or a long-term plan. It's less than a year. And they've been working on this for a while, right? This came out in 2016. Fast forward, what is SEPA? SEPA is the single euro payments area. It says, thanks to the euro payments area, customers can now make cashless euro payments via transfer credit card or debit card to anywhere in European Union, as well as a number of non-European countries in a fast, safe, and efficient way. Okay? keep fast forwarding, and they do an average of about, here's their daily, SEPA does about 78 billion a day. I think it's 78 billion euros a day, okay? And then you also have Trangolo launch. Trangolo is a Ripple partner, but Trangolo launches instant SEPA payments to Europe. It's really interesting to see more corridors being built out, but SEPA fills 43 billion transactions annually, and you never know, they could be using ODL and Ripple's technology through Trangolo to do that. Also, Trangolo Easy Remit boosts cross-border payment capabilities with Trangolo. So there's a lot of good partnerships happening. Have you ever heard of ACI WorldWide? It's okay if you haven't. They are gigantic. So they service 9 out of the top 10 banks worldwide, 80,000 merchants. And then if you scroll down here some more, there's some good information down here. 6,000 customers worldwide, 45 years in the payment industry, 25 billion cloud transactions processed annually, and they also have 225 billion transactions processed annually. So it's a big deal. And ACI is not only partnered with Swift, but they're also partnered with Ripple. Okay. Also, Accenture. Accenture's been partnered with Ripple too. And if you've never heard of Accenture, it's okay, but they have 738,000 employees globally, 9,000 clients served across more than 120 countries, and they have 8,300 patents or patents pending worldwide. They're a big deal. And I don't know how much in payment volume Accenture does, but I do think it's in the trillions. Revenue from last year was 61.6 billion. So you can imagine they're doing a lot of work there. And also, what people don't look is if you dig down a little deeper, and if Accenture's partnered with Ripple and they're using their technology, look at all of Accenture's partners. Salesforce, Amazon, that's a Ripple partner anyways, but Oracle, Google, Adobe, Red Hat, Microsoft, Dell, Facebook, IBM, they could in fact help all of these companies settle payments if they don't already using Ripple's technology, okay? Royal Monetary Authority of Ripple partner at Pilot CBDC. So the Royal Monetary Authority of Bhutan is working with Ripple on a sovereign currency there. And then you also have CBDC stuff. So this next section is we're going to get through some CBDC information and we're going to talk about it. There's 2 or 3 different CBDC simulations that happened over the last several months or several years. And I just want to talk with you a little bit and show you some of this technology. Okay, let's do this.
Efficient international payments. Project Icebreaker is exploring a specific model linking national retail CBDC systems together. The Icebreaker Hub routes payments and allows national CBDC systems to talk to each other, despite being based on different technologies. In this project, different distributed ledger technologies used by each country for their proof of concept CBDC systems were connected to the Icebreaker Hub. Let's see how this works. Say Alice in Stockholm wants to send money to Noah in Tel Aviv to pay for a camera she bought online. When she enters Noah's payment address and the amount into her mobile app, the Icebreaker Hub helps her find the best available exchange rate. This is calculated from the rates foreign exchange providers submit to the Icebreaker Hub. Alice's payment is then broken down into 2 payments. One in Swedish e-krona to a foreign exchange provider in Sweden, and another in Israeli digital shekels from the foreign exchange provider in Israel to Noah. These 2 payments are coordinated using a form of digital escrow known as a hash time locked contract, HTLC. The payment from Alice to the foreign exchange provider will only be released if the foreign exchange provider has paid Noah. If no foreign exchange provider can exchange Swedish e-krona for Israeli digital shekels, the Icebreaker Hub will find a bridge currency, for example,
The Icebreaker Hub will find a bridge currency. That's a great little line there. So let me ask you this question. How many bridge currencies do you know working with central banks that are ISO compliant that can work with private ledgers or R3? There's only really 2 options. One of the options is Stellar and one of the options is Ripple. If you have another option, please leave it down in the comments. I'd love to get some new ideas here, but I do believe when you're talking about specifically a bridge asset, it's got to be XRP.
Norwegian krona that can be exchanged for both Swedish e-krona.
So this is called path finding, okay? And this is actually, paths are on the XRP ledger. And so if you can get a transaction from Sweden to Israel here, can go from Sweden to Norway to, or is this Sweden and this is Norway? My bad, but you understand what I'm saying here.
And Israeli digital shekels, and we'll use that to bridge the gap. Swedish e-krona are exchanged for Norwegian krona, which is in turn exchanged for Israeli digital shekels. The hub will always choose the payment path that is cheapest for the payer.
The hub will always choose the cheapest pay path for the payer. This is where I can say, hey, Ethereum's probably not going to be in this, right? Because the transactions are still either in the dollars or even in the high teens or 20s, depending on what you're doing. This needs to be micro, small, very cheap. So this is something like XRP, XDC, XLM is what you would need to facilitate this, okay?
The benefits of the model demonstrated in the project are, it enables cross-border interoperability, allowing systems with different technologies to talk to each other in a standardized way. It reduces settlement and counterparty risk.
All right, so we understand all the risks, but let's keep it going because there's so much more to talk about. But here's the paths that I was talking to you about, right? If it can't go from one place to the next, maybe it has to go to another. If it's trying to go from 1 to 3 and there's no clear path, it might go 1 to 2, then 2 to 3, if you understand what I'm saying. It says the XRP ledger paths define a way for tokens to flow through intermediaries steps as part of a payment. Paths enable cross-currency payments by connecting sender and receiver through orders on the XRP ledger's decentralized exchange. Paths also enable complex settlement of offsetting debts. All right. And then you also, here is the technology being used, right? So it's talking about Ethereum Quorum, right? It's talking about Hyperledger Beso, and it's talking about Porta with Sweden. Okay. And so they're going to choose the best and cheapest path. The customer is probably going to be able to have the choice. And then this is Project Jura. So Project Jura was another BIS innovation. Banco de France, Ripple partner. Accenture, Ripple partner. Credit Suisse, used to be Ripple partner. Matsis, Ripple partner. R3, Ripple partner. UBS, our Ripple partner. And this is, I think, is SCX exchange. I'm not too certain about that, so I'm not going to say partner if I'm not sure. Okay, so just check this one out.
And technology firms. Let's look at how the experiment worked. It took place over 3 days. On day 1, Natixis in France issued a tokenized French commercial paper with a nominal value of 200,000 euros. UBS, a Swiss bank, bought the commercial paper using euro wholesale CBDCs to pay Natixis. Also on the first day, Credit Suisse, a Swiss bank, settled a foreign exchange transaction with Natixis, buying euro wholesale CBDC against Swiss franc wholesale CBDC. On day 2, UBS sold the commercial paper it acquired from Natixis in a secondary market transaction to Credit Suisse against euro wholesale CBDC. To finish the experiment, on day 3, Credit Suisse redeemed the commercial paper to Natixis, and a foreign exchange transaction was also settled between these institutions to return to the initial balances. In today's financial markets, settling these transactions involves numerous intermediaries and different payment and settlement.
This is called correspondent banking. This is where banks have to have money all over the world to settle transactions in those countries, okay?
Systems. Project Jura explores a more efficient and secure way to settle such transactions in central bank money with the help of new technology.
All right, so you get how that works too, right? And so you need cheap, interoperable, and a bridge currency there too. France eyes Ripple's CBDC ledger for digital euro, okay? The European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, has come out and said in October of 2023, that is when they're going to make a decision on the digital euro. But if France decides to work with Ripple on that, you're going to see that out too. HSBC executive and Swift board member joins Ripple to support continued growth. I just want to show you that there are really important people that go and work as an advisor and a board member at Ripple. I just wanted to point that out. And then Ripple and R3 team up with 12 banks trial XRP across borders. I just want to show you this really. Here are the banks, right? R3 has been involved in the trial, including Barclays, BMO Financial Group, CIBC, Intesa Sanpaolo, Marque Group, National Australian Bank, Naxos, Nordea, and then Royal Bank of Canada, Santander, Scotiabank, and Westpac Banking Corporation. Notice there's a lot of Canadian banks there, right? If all these really big Canadian banks are, I do believe National Australian Bank, and then Naxos, and then Royal Bank of Canada, I do think that Canada is going to be using the XRP ledger for those value. All right, and this is another sandbox. I'm just going to play a little bit here just to show you how this all works, and you can have a good understanding of how all these central bank digital currency tests and pilots have been going.
Project Dunbar is a BIS-led cross-border payments initiative using central bank digital currencies on a single platform with participation from the Reserve Bank of Australia, Bank Negara Malaysia, Monetary Authority of Singapore, and the South African Reserve Bank. Now let's explore how we can achieve this using R3's sandbox for digital currencies. Now in the sandbox, we see 4 central banks operated by the RBA.
So he's going to show you how easy it is to send money using this Corda system, that you can use XRP or XTC to settle transactions if need be. But check out how easy the software is. And this is what banks are currently going to use. Imagine correspondent banking. It takes days for payments to go through, or you could do this.
SARB, MAS, and BNM. In each of these jurisdictions, we have an additional 2 commercial banks. Here we're looking at Bank 1 in Singapore and Bank 2 in Malaysia. Now, this Malaysian commercial bank is holding 10 million digital Malaysian ringgit, and our Bank 1 in Singapore is holding 10 million Singaporean dollars and 10 million digital Australian dollars. So what we're going to do is initiate a transaction between Bank 1 in Singapore and Bank 2 in Malaysia in digital Australian dollars. Now, what we're going to need to do then is bring in sponsoring banks in Australia to provide oversight for the cross-border transaction happening here. Now, keep in mind, these sponsor banks cannot initiate or receive cross-border transactions on the behalf of the sender and receiver. So let's get started here. We'll select our digital Australian dollar. We'll select our participant here, as I mentioned, Bank 2 in Malaysia, and we'll begin our sponsor bank selecting process. So here we'll select Bank 1 as the sending sponsor bank for the receiving sponsor bank. Next, we'll select our exchange rate. We're going to keep this in digital Australian dollars. However, if we were to say transfer it to ringgits and bring in an FX leg of this transaction, we can see there's actually an Oracle node on the network that's bringing in real-time market data and providing us with a live FX rate. but we're going to go back to our digital Australian dollars and continue with that 1-to-1. Next, we'll enter an amount. Here, we'll select, say, 1 million, and we'll send that transfer right through. Looks like it was successful, and it looks like our treasury is updated appropriately. Jumping back into Bank 2 in Malaysia, we'll also see the counter of that and 1 million digital Australian dollars in our new treasury.
So here's the question. You're a bank president, right? And we've always seen how much banks are in trouble right now, up to 620 billion in unrealized losses. I think it's even higher than that, truthfully, but you're hurting on money right now. You have this new incredible technology that you can move money at the speed of light, save up to 60, 70%, and make all your customers happy. What are you going to do? Of course, you're going to use the new technology, right? And this is just Project Enbridge. And then there's more pictures, but check us out. Accenture's on this one as well, guys. Ripple has their hands on all of this stuff. It's just really interesting to go through some of this documentation and read through it, but there's a lot of really cool things happening. And it's also said that Ripple's working with up to 20 countries on CBDC plans. I've seen the highest number is 50 central banks, but there's no way to prove that. So let's go with the number of 20 because Brad Garlinghouse and all these people have said they've been working with dozens, but let's just say it's 20. And this is Republic of Palau partners with Ripple to develop digital currency standards. Central Bank Digital Currency Monetary Authority. This is Bank of Malaysia. So there's a lot of stuff's happening with central banks, and Ripple here in Bitcoin, right? Ripple-backed Trangelo receives new approvals from MAS, right? There's just a lot of really interesting partnerships and things happening. Ripple expands into Africa, partnering with MFS Africa to bring benefits for crypto-enabled payments on the continent. In Africa, there's about 5 or 6 mobile app payment providers, and none of them talk to each other. So if your friend has a different app, you can't send money between them. That is not interoperable, right? And sometimes those fees can be as high as 10, 15, 20%. Using something like XRP, you can drop the fees 1%, 2%, whatever you want to do, really, because it's pennies to send the money, right? Ripple launches crypto-enabled enterprise payments in Brazil with Travelex Bank. For them to do this, they had to get permission from the Central Bank of Brazil, which they got, and I think the Central Brazil is going to be working with Ripple on their CBDC. I don't have any proof of that, but what else are they going to be using that they've been testing all these years? Obviously, they could come out of nowhere and decide to go with something else, but I really think they're going to be leaning towards the Ripple side. And then Ripple further expands into UAE payments, providers will use XRP. So this is Yoshitaka Kitao. Yoshitaka Kitao is the head of SBI Global, and he said that every bank in Japan by 2025 will be on RippleNet. So let me ask you this question. If every bank in Japan, and this guy knows, right? This guy has a lot of power in Japan. If he says that, what is the Central Bank of Japan going to use? There's a good chance they're going to be using the same technology, guys. All right. And then here you have some stuff coming out from the Central Bank Digital Currencies for Cross-Border Payments. This came out in November of 2021. This is from the World Bank. The reason I'm showing you this really quickly is I want to show you the table of contents here. Here are all the acronyms, right? So you have like Bank of Canada, Bank of England, Bank of Thailand, right? You have all these big names, and then you come down, and then there's Stellar and Ripple. That's it. And a World Bank document, okay? There's no Bitcoin. There's no Ethereum. It's Stellar and Ripple here, okay? Just want to show you that. And then Ripple, India's federal bank, team on cross-border payments. More connections into India. And then here's a list of banks. This is 139 banks that's supposed to be partnered with Ripple. And I actually searched every single one of these banks, how much money they would process yearly in payment volumes, okay? This is only, like I said, 130. I was able to find information on 49 out of the 139 banks, and they move about $159 trillion, give or take, between those banks, okay? And so there's another list here. It's hard to find information on banks in Japan. They don't release a lot of it. And so I always went, if I saw a number with 2.2 or 2.1, I always rounded down a little bit, but there was a lot of banks that I couldn't even include, and I already got to $160 billion. And the Bank of England mentions Ripple in new CBDC consultation. Proof of concept with the Bank of England. Here's the FinTech Accelerator proof of concept. That went well. And then also their CHAPS system, Bank of England's CHAPS system, does 822 billion pounds a day, daily average. So if the Bank of England's already come out and said that they're going to be using Ripple, that's what they're going to be using for this. Okay, understand that. They're going to be moving 822 billion pounds a day on the XRP ledger when they are ready. That is what that is, okay? Just wanted to point that out. And 822 billion is $1 trillion US a day out of that system, okay? Let's keep it going. And then it says CHAP systems open or close. And then we have, so when you have the Fed, when you have the Fed upgrading, FedNow system is upgrading. There's a lot of different payment systems in all of that, right? There's 3. I think it's like ACH, Fedwire. I'm just going to show you. This is automated clearing services. It's commercial automated clearing transactions processed by the Federal Reserve annually, right? And it says average value in dollars and billions. So it's about $154 billion a day is being transferred through just this one thing. And then I'm going to show you some more. All right. And then the DTCC. Okay. So the DTCC stands for the Depository Trust Clearing Corporation. They clear security settlements, stocks, bonds, that kind of stuff around the world. Okay. Last year, 2.37 in 2021, they don't have 2022 numbers yet, but in 2021, at a glance, total value of securities processed is $2.37 quadrillion. Okay. Trillion, if you don't know, it's okay. It's 1,000 trillions, just like you have a million, 1,000 millions is a billion, 1,000 billions is a trillion, 1,000 trillions is quadrillion. Okay. And then here you go. The DTCC's Project Ion platform is now live in parallel production environment. So what that's saying is that over the last 6 years, the DTCC has been trying to upgrade their systems to go to DLT and instant settlement, right? Instead of having 2 or 3 days in between settlement times where the money gets sent on the corresponding banking system, it can take a while. This is happening simultaneously, same day. Okay, or same time. And then they say DTCC has selected R3 Corda as the underlying DLT technology platform. Okay, and then it goes on to talk about that they're doing 100,000 bilateral transactions a day, sometimes up to 160,000 on peak days. But sooner or later, this is going to go full blast and all go through DLT. And these currencies, it's all in different currencies, right? So it would be good to have a nice bridge asset that you can go in and out of currencies pretty easily and transfer money all over the world in the blink of an eye. And then here's just DTC selects Corda Project Ion platform. It is a highly regulated entity with a public-private chain, but they build bridges to like the XRP Ledger and XDC so they can help settle those transactions and do different things. Donahue was the president and CEO. He worked at the DTCC for 26 years. Donahue left in 2012, and then he pops back up as a Ripple advisor in 2015. Okay, being the president and CEO of the DTCC for 6 years, he has all the connections Ripple needed to make that happen. Here's Donahue right here. And Ripple has a lot of great leaders, right? You have Brad Garlinghouse, David Schwartz, one of the creators. You guys have seen a lot of these people before. Here's Stuart Alderati, the attorney, and then Sandy O'Connor, who works for the government at FDIC, right? So let's keep going. There's also Polysign. So Polysign is a custody service for institutions and things like that. There is some rumors that regular XRP holders will be able to custody their crypto at Polysign if it's over a certain amount. We'll have to see how that goes. But our mission at Polysign is to drive global use for digital assets, building the best-in-class infrastructure that enables institutions to secure and transact in digital assets across the capital world. Blockchain technology, leading blockchain architects Arthur Brito, David Schwartz designed Polysign's technical engine for securing digital wallets and the third-generation proprietary private blockchains technology foundation to the development of the digital asset infrastructure. All right, let's continue. So I just want to show you who some of these people are, right? So on the website, the founders here, right? And then you have Jack McDonald and Tim Keeney. Tim Keeney used to be the vice chairman of BNY Mellon. He was responsible for custodying 25% of the global assets at one time, and now he's here at Polysign. There's also Jack McDonald, who used to work for Confir Financial, and he grew from $5 billion to $125 billion, former UBS executive. So that's who's running the ship there. Very powerful people. And then this is Tim Keeney, used to be the vice chair of BNY Mellon for 14 years there. Okay. And then here's Jack McDonald. He's president CEO. This guy's got a lot of understanding of the space. All right, there's a lot of different clearinghouses to do with different countries, right? And I have to look all these ones up individually. It takes some time. And so this is just what I was doing here. This is my saver for all this stuff. So check this out. Excuse me. So FedNow is basically replacing or upgrading the ACH or same-day ACH, right? FedNow is expected to provide greater redundancy for payment operators there, thereby preventing any potential payment network bottlenecks, okay? And then NACHA, right? NACHA, Ripple Labs has joined the NACHA Payments Innovation Alliance, according to the new post or Ripple blog. NACHA oversees the administration of the ACH network and acts as an industry trade organization representing over 11,000 financial institutions. And check this out. Ripple Labs joined NACHA Payment Innovation Alliance, and then we look and seeing how much money that they're moving a year, and it's right here. The Modern experienced significant growth in 2021 with 29.1 billion payments valued at 72.6 trillion. So we know that at least 72.6 trillion is going to be flowing through these new systems just from NACHA, right? And NACHA's a drop in the bucket. I want to show you something else. So you have Fed ACH, you have Fedline, and you have Fedwire, right? And then you have Fedwire securities. And all of these things, like, you're just thinking FedNow is just this one thing, but it encompasses all of this, right? They're upgrading all of these systems at once, okay? Check this out. So this is in millions. This is in millions, right? And this is average daily value of the transfers. This is 4,241,000,000. So what this number is $4.2 trillion a day in clearing. Okay, this is average daily value of transfer. So this is the Fedwire funds service. So we know that you're going to move $4.2 trillion a day on this new system. Okay? I want to show you some more. And then you have foreign exchange currency swaps for you real quick. A foreign currency swap is an agreement between two foreign parties to swap investment payments on a loan made in one currency for investment payments on loan made on another currency. A foreign currency swap can involve exchanging principal as well. And then it goes on to say a little bit more. One of the purpose of engaging a currency swap is to boost loans in foreign currencies at a more affordable interest rates that then might be available borrowing directly from the foreign market. During the financial crisis of 2008, the Federal Reserve allowed several developing countries that faced liquidity problems to option off a currency swap than borrow. So it's the Federal Reserve who kind of runs these swap lines, okay? And they're doing, let me show you how much they move a day. Trading in OTC FX markets reached 7.5 trillion a day. Okay. And remember, who is doing this? It's the Federal Reserve allowed several developing countries. Okay. So here's my thing. If the new system is going to be powering Fedwire, NACHA, why wouldn't it do the same thing with the FX? I mean, you're not going to use correspondent banking for the FX market and use this new great system that's cheap, fast, and efficient, trackable, immutable. You're going to go with the new technology, right? So that would be another $7.5 trillion a day that would need to be valued through possibly the XRP ledger on top of the 4.2 and on top of the other stuff I showed you. And I'm going to wrap this all up in a nice bow for you. I've done so much research here for you, but this is just more stuff. Global trade hits 7.5 trillion a day. And then Ripple, I want to point this out. Ripple has bought back $8.4 billion worth of XRP since the lawsuit. So check this out. Ripple used to sell extra XRP to exchanges, give them liquidities, help them out. Once the lawsuit happens, they couldn't do that. Ripple not only has the escrowed XRP, which is half, right? 50 billion, give or take some tokens, right? But they've also bought back 8.4 billion in XRP. Now, XRP has been going from 30 cents to 40 or 50 cents these last, 2 years. So they've bought back at least 16, 18, 20 billion XRP off the market. 8.4 billion, even if it was at $1, that would be 8.4 billion XRP. If it was at 50 cents, it would be 16.8 billion XRP. And it wasn't even that. So they probably bought another 18 to 20 billion off the market. So not only do they have the escrow of 50 billion, now they've bought at least 18 to 20 billion off the market. So that's 70 billion. Locked from Ripple. This is used to work with ODL. This is what market makers can come in, use this liquidity, move value, okay? But understand, a lot of people think there's all of this XRP out in the world. There's really not, and Ripple has a lot of it, and they keep buying it, We talk about Visa, MasterCard, Amex. Look at this. Visa completes acquisition of Currency Cloud. Why did they do that? Currency Cloud works with Ripple. Visa trademark filings hint at Ripple XRP wallet plans for other cryptocurrencies, right? Check this out. Ripple partner joins forces with Visa to conquer billion markets, right? This is D-Money, another partnership with Visa, okay? With the Ripple services. Visa acquires Earthport, okay? Visa and MasterCard were actually in a battle. They were in a battle. Check this out. Visa outbids MasterCard in battle over Ripple partner Earthport. Ripple's partnered with 3 or 4 different companies that use Ripple's technology. Does that mean Visa's going to use it? I don't know, but why would they be so aggressive? I'll leave that to you. You also have things happening with Ripple, with MasterCard. There's connections there too, but I don't want to get into that. Let's just kind of, American Express joins Ripple, RippleNet giving visibility to speed and global payments, right? So if you have Visa, MasterCard, and American Express, all of these connections are there. The state of global CBDC adoption, Daryl Duffy, I think he's talking right here. So each country has its own reasons for exploring CBDCs. Some like Sweden, Canada, Palau, and Bhutan want to ensure the existence of a digital national currency, even in the event that the paper money goes out of circulation. Are they working with Sweden and Canada? I think they are. I really do think they are. Just some more connections here to some more central banks, right? And then you have Ripple's array of partners expands as CIBC NAB join RippleNet. The Canadian Imperial Bank and Commerce, CIBC, and the National Bank of Australia, NAB, are joining RippleNet to tap into the increasingly popular blockchain solution for cross-border payments. Okay, let's keep going. Here's, you got SAMA, the Saudi Arabia Monetary Authority, right? Saudi Arabia is working with Ripple. There's a lot of money here, guys. There's a lot of money. I'm gonna wrap all this up here in a nice little bow. This is Naveen Gupta. This gentleman isn't Naveen Gupta, but he's talking to Naveen Gupta. Let me just play this for you really quickly and listen to what he's talking about correspondent banking.
I guess if I'm an outside commentator, we should stop building these corresponding banking networks entirely.
And it's already happening, some bit of it, right? But of course, what I would say is
Is it just because the remittance companies make so much more money doing the corresponding banking networks?
I think I would say two things, right? So one, I would say because there is not regulatory clarity, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in all parts of the world. RippleNet, for example, the ODL solution can't be launched in a number of jurisdictions because there's no regulatory clarity. So today, if
So to
somebody
achieve that full connectivity,
absolutely,
they need to have
they need to have the full portfolio of this thing. And then the second thing that I would say is that all innovations take time. So there are, of course, adopters. And now it's at critical mass where it's moving very fast, but also at the same time, adoption itself takes time, right? So if you and me, after a few years, having a discussion to say, hey, what is the state right now? I would be surprised that there is any institution that is not taking advantage of the blockchain technology that is available to essentially significantly create efficiency versus where they are today.
There you go. All right. And then here, I got some more information for you. And then I'm going to take you to the numbers because the numbers is where all the stuff happens. Swift. So the Swift primary services moves about $150 trillion per year on its own. And then also you have the derivatives market, right? Derivatives are like futures contracts, right? You think the price of something's going to go up or down in the future, and that's what it is, right? And so the derivatives market is said to have over $1 quadrillion in notional value on the high end, but some analysts say the market is grossly overestimated. So I've seen $600 trillion to $1 quadrillion in derivatives. Why is this important? These derivatives are going to live on blockchains, right? The value is going to live on blockchains, right? Because you can't have all this new system of stuff, stocks and bonds. These futures are not on there, right? So what blockchain is that going to go on? The most interoperable blockchain in the world, working with central banks, institutions alike, top 500 banks in the world. Where do you think this is going to go? Because all of those partnerships, that's going to bring a lot of liquidity in because all of the payments are going to go through this system. So I believe that this value will live on the XRP ledger. I personally think that. I don't know that for sure. And I don't think anybody truly does unless they're in the behind the walls or whatever in some of these meetings. But also, let me show you something else. Successful testing paves the way for CBDC CBDC use case for cross-border payments. This is March 9th, right? This is Swift working on partnering with banks to work on CBDC interoperability solutions. Where did Swift get CBDC interoperability? I truly think when we look back at the time here, I think you're going to see XRP going over the Swift network. So I think Ripple is going to white label Swift, and that's how things are going to go forward. I could be totally wrong on that, but I think that. And then you have ISO 20022 coexistence begins opening new possibilities for cross-border payments, right? So there's a lot of really good, interesting information. Swift's already updated, and all the other corresponding banks out there have updated. And then I just want to show you something interesting on XRP metrics, right? So Swift was doing a lot of around March, the whole month of March, right? It started on the first here, first and third, right over this. And then he had a giant jump on the weekend that Swift moved to this new ISO system. This is number of transactions executed. And then check this out. On the same day, number of payments from one account to another. Look at this spike. Is that Swift? You go from making 288,000 payments from one customer to another to making 6x that. Something happened that day. And then you have number of currency exchanges, right? There's a lot of stuff that happened March 19th when Swift moved over. And I think that's what you're seeing here play out in the metrics. But let's keep going. There's also automated clearing services, right? You have commercial automated clearing houses by the Federal Reserve annual data, right? And this is saying value of $38 billion there, okay? Then you also have the Fedwire security service and schedule fees, right? So this is just fees that they charge. I should have probably taken that out, but it's all good. But check this out. Fedwire Securities Service annual statistics. Average daily volume of transfers. This is in the millions again. So what is that? $1.3 trillion in the security side of it. So you have 4.2 on the NACHA side of it. You have 1.3 on the security side of it. Now you're at $5.5 trillion with these two systems with the Fedwire. Okay. And then this talks about the FedNow service, but I'm not going to go through this since you probably already know. And then here is the Fedwire fund service of 4.2 trillion. I just wanted to show that one more time before I get into some of these numbers because they're going to blow your mind. All right. And then this is some more information about NACHA and how that works. I'm not going to get into that. Check this out though. This is Canada's new payment system. It's called Links, an overview of Links' high value payment system. Let me go back to this page I was on. Hopefully I can find it really quickly. I think it's, all right, here we go. Access model. So check it out. At the time of the publication of this document, Links had 17 participants listed. Okay. ATB Financial, Bank of America, Ripple partner, Bank of Canada, Ripple partner, Bank of Montreal. I don't know Bank of Montreal, but Bank of Nova Scotia, Ripple partner, BNP Paribas, Ripple partner, Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, CIBC, Ripple partner, right? HSBC, Ripple partner. National Bank of Canada, Ripple partner. Royal Bank of Canada, Ripple partner. State Street, Ripple partner. Citibank, Ripple partner. Do you see what I'm getting at here? This is Canada's payment system. What technology do you think they're using? I'll let you spend some time. And then check this out. For some time, the UK systems has for some UK payment systems, such as CHAPS and the embedded payment system that supported the security settlement in CREST. So now you have CHAPS and you have CREST. CREST is for securities, and this is what CREST is: Settlement Euroclear UK International. And I got some information here about it. Check it out. On average in 2021, 539 billion in financial transactions were processed per day in Canada. Okay? So if a lot of these banks in Canada and the Central Bank of Canada are hooked up to some type of maybe private ledger or using XRP or Ripple, you're getting a lot of volume per day in some of that. Okay? So I made some models, right? And bear with me, guys, here. These models, they are not factual evidence. They're done by ChatGPT. I cannot verify the mathematics of this. I am not that good with math. I just wanted to throw some things in. Let's just go over this and we'll talk about this. So I said, if the XRPL was used to move $25 trillion. Okay, so let me just show you where this numbers came from, okay? So I looked up 139 banks, right? I could only find information on 49 out of the 139 on that bank list that I showed you, okay? But give or take, these banks move about 159 trillion between them a year. But let's talk about the stuff that we talked about before, right? I showed you the FX market, right, is $5 trillion a day, right? I've showed you the derivatives market is 600 million to 1 quadrillion. I've shown you NACHA is 72.6 trillion annually. SEPA is the European settlement system. That is 2.8 trillion euros on average, which is 78 billion euros daily. Fedwire is $4.2 trillion a day in 2022. I showed you that. Federal Reserve is 100 billion a day. DTCC is 6 trillion a day. CHIPS is the new payment system. It's 1.8 trillion per day, which is 657 trillion per year. You have Fedwire, you have CREST, and then you have Canada's banking system. Okay, so what I did is I added up the FX market, the Fedwire market, the CHAPS in the UK, which was 844 billion pounds, if you remember, the DTCC, which is 6 to 7 trillion a day. I met in the middle at 6.5. CHIPS is 1.8 trillion, and then Fedwire securities, it was 1.3. That's a total of 22 trillion.3 daily. Okay. Then I also added up the billions. This is NACHA, this is SWIFT, this is SEPA, this is Federal Reserve, this is Canada, this is also another 1.5 trillion. This is a total of 2.38 trillion daily volume. And this is not including any of the other banks. I didn't include this in any of this. I'm just using this figure down here of 28.3. What I did was then I was like, all right, well, maybe I can round this up to 25 trillion, 1.2 trillion between all of the other Ripple partnerships, maybe all the other central banks that we don't know, right? And look at this, guys. They might be working with France, Palau, Sama, Monetary Authority of Singapore, Bank of Australia, Japan, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Africa. I don't have numbers. Any of this, I don't have numbers from any of these. So if Ripple does partner with these guys and they start moving trillions of dollars a day themselves, how much money are we talking about here? A lot, right? Look at this. So I used a low number of 25 trillion, right? I just want to show you one more time. I took this number, 23.8, and I rounded up a little bit to another 1.2 trillion to make it a nice even number, but it's not counting any of this or any other Ripple partner banks, right? I guess I could, you know what? We'll do this. Like with this plus this, but all right, so we're at, okay, so like I said, excuse me, if the XRPL was used to move $25 trillion a day and the circulating supply is 20%, what's the price of XRP, right? So you have Ripple, who has the escrow 50 billion. They've bought back 18 to 20 billion off the open market. We've seen that. So that's what, 30% gone. So me and you and exchanges also have XRP. Let's say that's another 10%. Let's say there's 20% on the open market. If we were to run this through the evaluation, right, we'd come out with about $2,077.78 per XRP with a 20% of circulating supply. Now, if we reduce the circulating supply, because a lot of people have said that actually the circulating supply of XRP is very low, but I've not been able to confirm the number. So let's just say we went down to 15%, right? Same numbers, 25 trillion, 15%. Now we're looking at $3,700 per XRP. Now look at this. if it's only 5% circulating supply, which is only 5 billion tokens, the price of XRP to facilitate all of this trade, which is $25 trillion a day, you would get this price per XRP. All right. And now I've proven you, I've taken the information out of statistical history documents, and I've shown you how much all of these systems do per day. And I'm not even including the rest of the world. I'm not including all the Japanese banks because I couldn't find any information on them. I'm not including the Central Bank of Japan, Central Bank of Brazil, other banks in Brazil, other remittance payments providers in Africa, other remittance payment providers in the UAE. Do you see where I'm going here, guys? This could get serious pretty quickly. If liquidity dries up, you don't need trillions to flow into the XRP token. You need trillions to flow across the network. All right. And this is my case for a $11,111 XRP. I think this is a low value in the grand scheme of things. Can you imagine if they actually get all of this plus all of the stuff we don't know already? It could be 40, 50 trillion a day. And if there's a huge supply shock on XRP, guys, the price could well go into the 6 digits. I don't know when, I don't know how long, but this is what I truly believe. And this is not financial advice. This is just some hard work I put in to try to show you how I look at things. I hope you got value out of this video. If you did, slap that like button. Share this with other XRP holders. Tell me what you think. Am I crazy? Am I right? What are we looking at here with this model? I appreciate you watching these last 50 minutes, and I hope this really does open your eyes to something really great that's coming for all of us. Thank you so much, and thank you for believing in XRP.